Tonight on the Mike Tomlin Show, Coach Tomlin explains his decision to go with Devlin Hodges over Mason Rudolph at quarterback tomorrow afternoon against the Browns. I had a chance to go one-on-one with rookie Benny Snell, who helped jumpstart the Steelers' run game, and we have the best sights and sounds from win number 6 for the Steelers. The Mike Tomlin Show starts right now.
Here we go. This pass is caught, and that's a touchdown. That's the way to work. Come on. He's hit that sack. The Steelers win the football game. Let's go. Come get it. You know what it is.
This one is in the history books.
Here we go.
The Mike Tomlin Show is presented by 84 Lumber.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the program. Bob Pompeani along with head coach Mike Tomlin, and happy belated Thanksgiving to all of you who watch the program. We appreciate that. Mike, this was a big week, and you announced a quarterback change. Tell us what went into that decision.
Really, it was quite simple for us. We felt like our offense needed a spark. We've absorbed a lot of negativity in recent weeks with instability in the lineup. Mason has missed some time. A lot of backs have missed time. Some receivers have missed time. Most recently, we went into the game without Juju and James Conner. So we just felt like the group needed a spark. Maybe Mason has been beat down by being a part of that process. Duck's a fresh guy, hadn't absorbed some of that negativity from a snap standpoint, and so maybe he'll be a catalyst for some positivity. I know he was in the second half of that game in Cincinnati.
And it seems like every time you put Devlin Hodges in the game, he does what you expect him to do. Was that part of that as well? And also, Cleveland being Cleveland this week, given what happened the last time they met, did that play into your decision for Mason Rudolph?
No, we're just trying to win this game. And when you're in the state that we're in, that needs to be your focus. We're not looking big picture. We're not looking down the road in terms of player development or what sets us up for whenever. We're just looking at the components that we have in place this week and how to best utilize them and put the best mix of men together that will allow us to win this game. When you're missing the number of people that we are, we just think that that's the appropriate way to do it. Devlin gives us an opportunity. He provides a spark. He did on Sunday. Hopefully he'll continue to do it as he gains more exposure.
After the game in Cincinnati, you had an interesting quote, "We struck a blow for team today." Can you expound upon that? Because you've been doing it with a lot of different pieces.
I love football. I love the way that it challenges all of us collectively. I love the way it exemplifies the essence of teamwork when it's done right. We got faced with some tough circumstances, but the guys stayed together. They fought. They put style points and personal agendas aside, and so that's what I meant by it. I just think anybody that looks at sport, anybody that's a fan of sport, when teams do something like that, I just think it's good for games.
Your kicking game, even though it hasn't produced a lot of returns, both Boswell, who's automatic it seems in Cincinnati, and Jordan Berry, in a game that tight, field position is huge. That was a big part of that game as well.
It was a big component of the game. I thought our coverage units were excellent. Our kickoff coverage unit was excellent. They had the number one kickoff return man in the NFL. I thought we neutralized him. I thought Jordan's punting, particularly his red zone punting, was effective. Was able to keep them on the long field some. And Boz has been Boz in Cincinnati. He's been special.
Let's talk about the defense, because once again it made a big play. Devin Bush hustling down the field, and then Minkah Fitzpatrick, who leads the NFL in these kinds of things. How realistically is it for your defense to essentially carry this makeshift offense to the finish line?
It's about us collectively. One of the things that the offense really did a good job of in the game was running the football. And we ran for, I think, over 160 yards, and that equals possessing the ball. And that helps our defense. I think we had 35 minutes time of possession. We spent a lot of time talking about the areas in which we fall short on our offense, and there's a lot to discuss there, red zone and otherwise. But we did possess the ball. We ran for over 150 yards, and 35 minutes time of possession usually bodes well for a defense. That means time on the sideline. That means they're gassed up and ready to go. And that's what they provide, and I think in turn, our defense is able to produce some of the splash that allows us to win some of these games, and that's an essence of team also.
You mentioned the run game, and Benny Snell comes back after a surgical procedure, and then you have Kareth White. Those are pretty good contributions from guys who, number one, came over an adversity physically, and number two, a guy who was only here for a cup of coffee, it seems.
Can't say enough about the contributions of those men, particularly Benny. when you're working with a young guy, you don't know a lot about him, particularly, you cross certain bridges for the first time. Him coming back from an injury was the first time for him and us collectively together at this level. I just thought he passed it with flying colors. He did a great job during the week of displaying his health. He did a really good job of being into the game and securing the ball and being Benny when he came back, and that's important. That's a good sign in terms of his overall trajectory.
Real quick, updates on Connor and Juju Smith-Schuster.
We're taking it day by day. Didn't get a lot of participation from those guys, so not overly optimistic as I sit here. But I think that's the appropriate thing too. We got to play the healthy guys. We got to play the guys that get an opportunity to work and work together. Guys that have an opportunity to look at one another in the huddle this week as we prepare and understand the gravity of this preparation. We're comfortable with those guys, whoever those guys are.
When we come back, head coach Mike Tomlin will talk about the game of the year, perhaps, Cleveland, the rematch. They come to Heinz Field. It should be a crazy atmosphere. We'll talk about it, Missy, when we return. Back to you.
Thanks, Bob. This is also the second meeting of these two teams in just 3 weeks. Coming up next on the Mike Tomlin Show, rookie running back Benny Snell talks about his career day in Cincinnati and how he's looking to keep the Steelers' run game going tomorrow. We'll be right back after the break.
Stay tuned to the Mike Tomlin Show.
Welcome back to the Mike Tomlin Show.
I can tell you from personally being in Cincinnati, it did not feel like a home game for the Bengals last Sunday afternoon. Being winless probably didn't help, and then the amount of Steelers fans that showed up definitely didn't help either. But either way, it worked out for the Steelers. Here's the best sights and sounds from the jungle.
The NFL playoff picture is an ever-changing carousel. Teams rotating week to week, trying to keep their chance of playing January football alive.
Can't we make plays, bro? That's all we do. Let's go. Let's lock it up, man. DB's on 3. 1, 2, 3. DB. Gotta get a win. It's a must-win week. Let's do it.
To keep their hopes alive, the Steelers will need to find a way to get out of the jungle with a win. Rookie Ryan Finley was given the start against the Steelers' stout defense.
Watt's coming. Finley loses the football. T.J. Watt the sack. T.J. Watt, man, he is great at that, stripping the ball. He now has 11.5 sacks on the year.
Pocket collapses. Down he goes. And that's Cam Hayward. They can't block him.
How about he put Trey Hopkins in Finley's lap, Wolf?
That's impressive, but it's not the first time we've seen Cam do something like that, have we?
Right.
Big rush. He's hit and sacked in the end zone.
Oh, Mark Barron came off the edge, and Ryan Finley never saw him.
They have him down at the one where the contact was made.
He didn't even have a chance to set his feet, man. He came out like a shot.
Hampered by injuries, the Steelers look to a few new faces to help fill the holes in the lineup.
Kerrith White, a great run-up over the 40, the 45.
He grew up a Steelers fan. He's got a great jump cut. He can dodge raindrops, and he's explosively fast.
Rudolph is going to throw the long down the right sideline route, and it's pulled in on a great catch by brand new Steeler. Deon Cain took it away from B.W. Webb.
These two new guys, Deon Cain and Kerrith White, these guys are big play guys.
With both offenses struggling to find their groove, the Steelers made a change at quarterback. Devlin "Duck" Hodges looked to give the offense the kickstart they needed.
They trail 7-3, and they've got a brand new quarterback in Devlin Hodges. Looks, fires it down the middle of the field. Wide open is Washington on his way. 40, 35, 30. Bumps a man at the 20. 15, 10. Touchdown, Pittsburgh.
Wow.
73 yards. Hodges to Washington.
Entering the fourth quarter, the Steelers' defense had yet to register a takeaway. With the Bengals driving, it seemed like the ideal time to get their first of the day.
Throw it, there's a man open running down the field, and it's into and out of the intended receiver. Oh, they're calling a catch and fumble. The Steelers got it. Minka up over the 35, the 40, and he's tackled at about the 43-yard line. Another splash play for Minka Fitzpatrick.
Devin Bush knocked it out, man. I thought it was a drop ball.
Devin Bush forced the fumble. And of course, as you said, Minka Fitzpatrick with the recovery. He has been everywhere.
3rd and 1 at the 36. Benny Snell, he gets the call. And he's on his way. 30, 25, left side 20. Cuts inside a man. 15 down to the 13-yard line. Pratt finally caught him, but man, they popped that one. You have the internal strength as well as the eyes to cut back on a huge play. You know, the wherewithal, stay in bounds, don't get knocked out of bounds and everything else. And I just thought that was a great run by Benny. The kick is up and good. The Steelers now lead at 16-10, but don't go away because the Bengals get the ball back. Plenty of time to throw it. He's hit from behind. The ball comes out, and who has it at the 20-yard line? Bud Dupree has the football.
Another big play by the Pittsburgh defense. The Steelers are in the thick of this wild card hunt because of their defense as they force another turnover. When we update the wild card picture, and Steeler fans will like this. They have moved up to the final wild card spot for the time being. Pittsburgh now 6-5 on the year.
The Steelers had their best game on the ground of the season in Cincinnati, and rookie running back Benny Snell played a major role, rushing for a career-best 98 yards. He's currently ranked 3rd among AFC rookies with 216 yards through 12 weeks, despite missing some time due to a knee injury. Here's more from this week's one-on-one. Knowing how important this game on Sunday at Heinz Field is to both sides, how do you kind of prepare, maybe not think about the last game? I know you didn't play in it, but just knowing that you guys do have a job to do and you want to keep building off of what you did in Cincy.
Most definitely. We take it week by week, game by game, so we'll definitely have a plan going into the game. We're going to be ready and we're going to execute it. You know, I didn't play in the last game. I got to watch, I got to see things, so now I'm in the game, so it's my turn now.
Totally switching topics. You said you're a big SpongeBob guy, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
Do you have a favorite episode or a favorite quote from SpongeBob?
I like the episode where SpongeBob got to deliver the pizza. And I like the one where like the jellyfish, they were doing the jellyfish and it took over like his house and they were like dancing and stuff. Just little stuff like that.
All the guys in the studio are really excited to talk about SpongeBob.
Yeah.
They're all shaking their heads. Does anyone else on the team like SpongeBob too?
I haven't really asked. You know, that's kind of my thing. I'll be chilling.
All right, what's one thing we do not know about Benny Snell?
I like video games.
Okay.
That's one of my hobbies that I love to do, and I feel like I'm very good.
And Snell was drafted by the Steelers in the 4th round of this previous NFL draft, unlike tomorrow's starter at quarterback, Devlin Hodges. From a rookie mini camp tryout to making his 2nd NFL start, tomorrow the Steelers will become the only team in the league to start 3 quarterbacks in at least 2 games this season. Coach Tomlin explains his decision to switch quarterbacks next when we return.
The Mike Tomlin Show is presented by 84 Lumber. Are you 84 material? Visit 84lumber.com/careers to learn more.
Despite all of the offseason hype that followed the Cleveland Browns around, I'm sure when the Steelers schedule first came out, you didn't circle tomorrow's game on your calendar as the most anticipated home game. Sitting at 6-5, knowing it's a division game and how the last matchup between these two teams played out, it's no secret this is a big game for Pittsburgh. Bob Pompeani is with Coach Tomlin to preview it all.
All right, Missi, thanks very much. You could label this the game of the year. Cleveland Browns come to town, Steelers ahead of them, and anytime you play at Heinz Field, I know the atmosphere is going to be great. I would imagine it's going to be even more intense given what happened the last time these two teams played.
It's just another chapter in the chronicles of AFC North football. We've had these unique relationships with all our divisional opponents. The Ravens series for a period of time when we had the likes of Troy and Ed Reed and guys like that and Hines in that game. In recent years with Cincinnati because of the nature of that rivalry and how significant some of those games were. And maybe this starts a new chapter in the relationship of us and the Cleveland Browns. We don't care. We just want to be in it, whatever it is. If it's an AFC North story or subplot or significant matchup or game, we don't run from it, we run to it. And we're humbled to be a part of this. We appreciate the fact that it's a big game and that people care, and we're excited about performing.
Given what happened at the end of the last game, do you expect any carryover into this one?
You know, I expect carryover because of what happened prior to what happened at the end of that last game. We've been very open and honest with ourselves. We got our butts kicked well before the fight. And so there's enough to be inspired about in terms of responding to our last performance. That fight occurred, and the things that occurred surrounding it with 8 or so seconds left to go in the game, we had played quite a bit of time. And the outcome of the game had been decided. And that needs to be our focus, and it will be as we step into the stadium.
The one thing that happened that night was Baker Mayfield made plays. We know that, but your defense didn't come up with a turnover, which is seemingly a weekly occurrence with them. What do you do to get into his head a little bit or make it uncomfortable for him?
You know, part of the things that we need to do is the offense has to assist the defense, and by that they need to make Cleveland operate on a long field. It was only part of the story that we didn't get any turnovers in that game. We were getting stops. They were punting the ball, but we turned the ball over, and I think to the tune of 4 times. The fact that it was a one-score game midway through the fourth quarter, as much as we had turned the ball over and not gotten it, was pretty impressive. I think for us, we got to maintain possession of the ball. If we do that, we keep them on the long field, our defensive personality will show.
The Browns have won 3 games in a row now, so they're 5-6 and back in it after they started 2-6. When you start looking at their offense, what do you want to do first in terms of limiting what they do? Is it run game, pass game, what?
It's easy. It's Nick Chubb. You better minimize his impact on the game. That guy, I think, is the second leading rusher in the NFL. I think they're 5th collectively in running the football. Kareem Hunt has done nothing but accentuate their run game. Baker and the receiving tandem, they get a lot of headlines, and appropriately so. They're really talented. But the nuts and bolts of that outfit, the blue-collar element of that outfit is Nick Chubb.
Their defense makes plays. Joe Schobert's amazing to me. He was a 4th-round pick out of Wisconsin, and he immediately turned into a Pro Bowl. He seems to be around the football every single time.
He's just extremely aware and active. He's as good as any underneath zone dropper that there is in the game. He's kind of on the level of Luke Kuechly in terms of his ability to play in those interior underneath zones and the level of productivity that he has when doing so. Had an opportunity to spend some time around him when we were in the Pro Bowl coaching it a couple of years ago. I think it was his first trip, and you see why he has the type of success he has. He's a professional in every way. He's wired for it, and unbelievably athletic. To be around him in close quarters and just to see the makeup of his body, he doesn't get enough credit for his extreme athleticism.
I know everyone who looks at this game may look at it as the game of the year. Is it a game of the year to you, given everything that's happened?
I think this time of year, man, I say it every week. But that's what's awesome about football, about the NFL. There's a scarcity to it. As you push into the holidays, realistically, man, if you've done what you've needed to do, if you've done enough, you could say that about every game. And so it is, but it won't be if we win it. The one that follows will be, and that's why this time of year is so fun.
And this time of year, we're heading into December football. I know Coach Tomlin likes that. We'll talk about it when we come back. It's going to be a big week. Steelers and Browns. You'll see it on KDKA. Missi Matthews, let's head back to you.
Thanks, Bob. It is hard to believe that we're on to December. Here's to hoping it is one to remember. Not only does Coach Tomlin have a great record in the final month, but he explains how they plan for the final push of the regular season all year long. You don't want to miss it as the Mike Tomlin Show continues.
Keep it locked in here at the Mike Tomlin Show.
There is a lot on the line tomorrow for both teams at Heinz Field, and there is no doubt it will most likely be a playoff-type atmosphere. It's also the start of December football, and Coach Tomlin is 22-6 over the past 5 seasons in the month of December. So what does that mean to him? Bob Pompeani is standing by with Coach for more on that. Bob?
All right, Missi, thanks. Now we're heading into December football, which I know has agreed with you largely in your career. What is it about that time of the year that really excites you as a coach and your team to play in meaningful games down the stretch?
It's built for the mentally tough, and we construct our team all year with that in mind. It's where the road gets narrow. It's where people start blinking, and those environments provide opportunity for those that are ready and focused. And so we like that urgency of December ball. We like the clarity of developing playoff races and wait on games and moments, and we like to perform in it. And but more than liking it and thirsting it, we have to be prepared. So we spend not only this time in preparation for that, but the whole 12-month process of team development with the understanding that it's going to get thick, and we need to have guys on the rise, be it veteran guys and the things that we do to preserve and take care of them, like veteran guys we don't practice on Wednesday, like Vance McDonald and Marquise Pouncey and others, so that they have gas in the tank over the latter part of the year, or the thoughtful way that we utilize young guys like Devin Bush, or don't use him in terms of rotating him so that he is always arrow pointed up. You got to remember, some of these young guys are in uncharted territory once you get into game 12 and 13 and 14 and working beyond Thanksgiving. So we've been thoughtful about that throughout the course of this journey. We haven't thrown Deontay Johnson out there for 65 snaps a week over the course of the front half of the season, because we want him to be energized and to be getting better for these moments.
And these moments coming up, some big games down the stretch. Coach, thanks very much.
Thank
Good
you.
luck. All right, it's the Browns and the Steelers. We'll get you set 11:30 a.m. tomorrow on our pregame show. We got postgame coverage. It should be an unbelievable game at Heinz Field. That's going to do it for our program tonight. For Missi Matthews and head coach Mike Tomlin, I'm Bob Pompeani. Have a great Steeler game day, and we'll see you tomorrow.